Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States, accompanied by the President of the Republic of Bosnia and Herzegovina, the President of the Republic of Croatia, the Prime Minister of the Republic of Bosnia and Herzegovina, and Mr. Zuboc.
Sit. Please be seated. Please remain seated.
President Izetbegovic, President Tujman, Prime Minister Slajic, Mr. Zuboc, The Secretary of State, Mr. Lake, the Vice President and I are happy to be joined by you as well as by others here today. We have the Deputy Foreign Minister of Russia, Vitaly Churkin, representing the European Union Troika, the Foreign Ministers of Greece, Mr. Papoulias, of Belgium, Mr. Claes, of Germany, Mr. Kinkel, and of course, David Owen and Thorvald Stoltenberg, who have been the co-chairs of the International Conference. In addition to that, we're very pleased to be joined by the ambassadors of the UNPROFOR nations who have been so active in working for peace and in preserving the peace. General Shalikashvili, Ambassador Albright, and members of the Congress. In the front row, Senator Lugar, Senator Stevens, Senator Levin, Senator Hatch, Congressman Lantos, and I believe Congressman McCloskey is here. There he is in the second row. So we thank all of you for coming today. We have come to bear witness to a moment of hope. For 33 months, the flames of war have raged through the nations of the former Yugoslavia. By signing these agreements today, Bosnian and Croatian leaders have acted to turn back those flames and to begin the difficult process of reconciliation. Around the globe, the tension between ethnic identity and statehood presents one of the great problems of our time. But nowhere have the consequences been more tragic than in the former Yugoslavia. There, nationalist and religious factions, aggravated by Serbian aggression, have erupted in a fury of ethnic cleansing and brutal atrocity. The agreements signed today offer one of the first clear signals that parties to this conflict are willing to end the violence and begin a process of reconstruction. The accords call for a federation between Muslims and Croats of Bosnia. This Muslim-Croat entity has agreed on the principles of a confederation with Croatia. Together, these steps can help support the ideal of a multi-ethnic Bosnia and provide a basis for Muslims and Croats to live again in peace as neighbors and compatriots. The agreements are as important for Croatia's future as they are for Bosnia's. And it is the hope of all present today that the Serbs will join in this process toward peace as well. These agreements are a testament to the perseverance and to the resolve of many people. The Croatian and Bosnian diplomats who kept probing for openings toward peace. The UN soldiers from many nations here represented today who've worked to bring both stability and humanitarian supplies. The NATO pilots who've helped put our power in the service of diplomacy. I want to praise the leadership and courage of those who've come to Washington to sign these agreements, especially President Izetbegovic and President Tuđman. I also want to recognize the tireless efforts of Thorvald Stoltenberg and David Owen, and of course, our own Cy Vance, who is not here today. And especially to express my personal appreciation to the skilled diplomacy of Ambassador Charles Redmond. Thank you, sir, for your work. All of these people have done much to bring us to this point of agreement. Through Ambassador Redmond's efforts and in many other ways, our administration has worked with our NATO allies, the European Union, Russia, the UN, and others to help end this conflict. The fact that we have done this work together has made a significant difference. And to the Deputy Foreign Minister of Russia, I say a special thank you, sir, for your renewed energy in this area and our common hopes. We have engaged in this work because the United States has clear interest at stake, an interest in helping prevent the spread of a wider war in Europe, an interest in showing that NATO remains a credible force for peace, an interest in helping to stem the terrible, destabilizing flows of refugees this struggle is generating, and perhaps clearly a humanitarian interest we all share in stopping the continuing slaughter of innocents in Bosnia. The documents signed here are only first steps, but they are clearly steps in the right direction. If they lead to an overall negotiated settlement, if a lasting peace takes hold in this war-torn land, the ceremony will be remembered as an important event. Whether that comes to pass will depend less on our words today than on the actions of Muslims, Croats, and Serbs on the ground tomorrow and in the days to come. For while documents like these can define the parameters of peace, The people of the region themselves must create that peace. Economic, political, and security arrangements for the new federation must be given a chance to work. The ceasefire between Croats and Bosnian government forces must hold. Croats and Muslims who have fought with such intensity must now apply that same intensity to restoring habits of tolerance and coexistence. The issue of the Krajina region of Croatia must be resolved. Serbia and the Serbs of Bosnia cannot sidestep their own responsibility to achieve an enduring peace. The new progress toward peace will likely come under attack by demagogues, by rogue riflemen, by all those who believe they can profit most from continued violence, aggression, and human suffering. Such attacks must be met with the same steadiness and leadership that have produced these agreements today. Neither the United States nor the international community can guarantee the success of this initiative. But the U.S. has stood by the parties as they have taken risks for peace, and we will continue to do so. I have told Presidents Izetbegovic and Tudjman that the U.S. is prepared to contribute to the economic reconstruction that will bolster these agreements. And as I have said before, if an acceptable, enforceable settlement can be reached, the U.S. is prepared through NATO to help implement it. All across Bosnia and Croatia, communities and entire peoples were once connected by ancient bridges, like the Great Stone Arch in Mostar, which for centuries stood as the city's proud symbol. Today, too many of those bridges have been reduced to rubble or closed by force. The challenge for parties to this conflict is to rebuild the bonds that those bridges represent. The announcement that Sarajevo's Bridge of Brotherhood and Unity soon will reopen is a hopeful sign that the parties can begin to span the divide of hatred and violence. The work ahead is indeed daunting, but all of us in the international community are committed to help. Together, let us strive for peace. Thank you. Mr. Papoulias, the Foreign Minister of Greece, representing the European Union.
Mr. President, Mr. President Tudjman, President Izetbegovic, the European Union warmly welcomes the agreement on the constitutional character for a future federation between the Croats and the Muslims of Bosnia and Herzegovina. This is a significant success coming shortly after the framework agreement signed in Washington on the 1st of March. It is also a further step towards attaining a comprehensive solution in Bosnia and Herzegovina with the participation of the Bosnian Serbs, thus safeguarding the territorial integrity of the country. We congratulate the negotiators for obtaining results in such a brief time. We recognize that this would not have been possible without the active involvement of the United States administration. Mr. President, the European Union has for some time now insisted that your country's involvement is crucial if a solution in Bosnia and Herzegovina and throughout ex-Yugoslavia is to be reached. We, on our part, have already covered a lot of ground. The two co-chairmen of the International Conference on Yugoslavia have obtained, after lengthy negotiations, the agreement of the three parties on an important number of issues. We believe that the understandings, especially on territorial percentages, should constitute the basis for further negotiations if we wish to achieve decisive progress soon. Moreover, our intention to contribute substantially to the implementation of an overall agreement by providing ground forces is still valid. So is our offer to obtain an administrator at a united muster for a period up to 2 years. Today's success reinforces the progress achieved during the last weeks towards a definite end of hostilities through the withdrawal of heavy artillery from Sarajevo, the lifting of most obstacles to the flow of humanitarian aid, and the return, as far as is possible, of the population of Bosnia-Herzegovina to normal life. In order to maintain the momentum, the European Union has already promised to dispatch additional forces for the strengthening of UNPROFOR in Bosnia. From here on, we have to work hard so that today's results are followed by further progress. We look forward to working closely together with the United States, Russia, and other countries involved, as well as with all parties to the problem. Ex-Yugoslavia is a part of Europe. It is our responsibility and duty to participate actively in the efforts to achieve a peace settlement. Our presence here underlines our determination and our commitment. Thank you.
Gospodine predsjedniče Clinton,
Mr. President, Mr. Clinton,
gospodine predsjedniče Tudjman,
Mr. Tudjman,
gospodine potpredsjedniče Gore,
Mr. Vice President
državni
Gore,
sekretare,
Mr. Secretary,
dame I gospodo,
ladies and
dragi
gentlemen,
prijatelji,
dear friends,
posebno prijatelji Senata I Kongresa,
particularly my
Sjedinjenih
friends
Američkih
from the
Država,
Senate and the Congress of the United
a I
States,
mnogi drugi
as
ovdje
well as
prisutni
many
koji su
others
pridonijeli
who are present
da se
here
današnji,
and
da
who
se
have
potpiše
contributed
ovaj današnji dokument.
to the signing of
Ovo je
documents
veliki
today.
dan za Bosnu
This is a
I
great day for
Hercegovinu,
Bosnia and Herzegovina,
ali za sve protivnike rata I prijatelje mira
but
među
also to
ljudima
all
I narodima.
those who are opposed to war and peace between
Dokumenti koji
people.
danas potpisani,
The documents
rezultat
signed
su
today are the
napora
result
svih ovdje
of
prisutnih.
the efforts of all people present
Ja
here.
im čestitam.
I give them my
Siguran sam
thanks.
da se tim čestitkama
I'm sure that
pridružuju mnogi naši prijatelji
all
na
our
istoku
friends,
I na zapadu.
both in East and West,
Doprinos
join me
Sjedinjenih
in
Američkih Država
expressing
I
my
vas
gratefulness.
gospodine predsjedniče Clinton,
Mr.
kao I vašeg
Clinton,
državnog sekretara,
as well as Mr.
u
Secretary,
ovom važnom poslu je veliki I mi to veoma
you
cijenimo.
have given a great contribution to this,
Već sami pregovori o
what is
dokumentu
happening
koji danas
today.
potpisujemo
The
dali
negotiations
su
that led to the
rezultat.
signing of this document
Stanje je već mnogo bolje.
have given this great result. The
Gubici
situation
života I
in
stradanja
Bosnia
naroda
is much
bitno je
has
smanjeno.
improved. There are fewer victims.
Nažalost, to je slučaj samo na jednom dijelu naše zemlje.
Unfortunately, it is only occurring at one part of our country.
I dalje traju borbe. A vijesti koje
The
dolaze iz
fighting
Iraka su
continues around
obeshrabrujuće.
Brčko and Maglaj,
Grad
and
je
there are
jučer
bad
ponovo
news
teško
from
bio
Brčko
predmet
as well.
teškog napada.
There were some
Ovo pokazuje da se naše
new
napori za mir
conflicts in other areas of
moraju
Bosnia.
nastaviti
This
I
means
to
that our
bez
efforts for
odlaganja.
peace must continue without hesitation.
Naš narod traži samo dvije stvari.
Our people want
Mir I
only two
pravdu,
things, peace
ili
and
kako
justice,
voli da kaže,
or as they
pravedan
like to
mir.
say, they like
Pravedan mir podrazumijeva
fair peace. Fair
da
peace
naša
means
država
that our country
mora ostati očuvana u svojim
will
granicama,
will keep
a
its
da sela I
borders
gradovi
and
iz
the
kojih
villages
protjeran naš
and the
narod moraju biti
cities
vraćeni
from which our people
I
have
da
been
ratni
expelled
zločinci moraju odgovarati za ono
will
što
be
su činili.
able to resettle the refugees.
U ovom svečanom trenutku
Those who are
naše
responsible for
misli
war
su
crimes
upućene
will have to be
nesretnijem
brought to
dijelu našeg
justice.
naroda. To su naše izbjeglice,
The most
dio
unfortunate
našeg
of our
otačnog
people are our
naroda u
refugees and some of
naš
our
protjerani narod mora da se
members,
vrati svojim domovima,
citizens which live in Sanjak.
nasilje
The
u
refugees
Sandžaku
must
mora da
return to
prestane.
their homes and the violence in
Iz govora
Sanjak must
predsjednika
cease.
Clintona
From Mr.
Rasudio
Clinton's
sam
speech, I
da
understood
Sjedinjene
that
Američke Države
the
su
United
spremne
States is ready
da daju svoj doprinos
to give their
implementaciji
contribution
mirovnog
to
dogovora
implementation
I
of the
ponovnoj
peace
izgradnji naše
agreement
zemlje.
and reconstruction of our country.
Primamo tu vijest sa zadovoljstvom
We accept this information with gratefulness and with pleasure. I pray to God to help our people as well as other people who fight for freedom and peace. Thank you.
President Clinton,
Mr. Clinton,
President Izetbegovic, distinguished
President
foreign
Izetbegovic.
ministers, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. The Republic of Croatia and the entire Croatian nations place the highest value on the efforts of the United States and of President Clinton in reaching the agreements of the formation of a Croatian-Bosnian Federation and a further confederation with the Republic of Croatia. The signing of this Washington Agreement marks a crucial turning point in the crisis in this region, and the positive outcome would not have been possible without the decisive measures undertaken by the United States of America. The historic step which has been taken today will be of immense mutual benefit for Croats and Bosniak Muslims, laying a strong foundation for a lasting peace and a stable future in this region, and ensuring for both peoples full national sovereignty and full parity of equality and in all state affairs. The further alliance with the Republic of Croatia guarantees the Bosniak Muslims prosperity in the Federation, and through confederal ties with Croatia, a close association with the Western democracies. However, in order to address adequately the widespread human and material destruction suffered by both republics, determined support is critical to restore a decent standard of living, enable the rebuilding of devastating areas, and return the displaced and the refugees to their homes. We look to the United States and the international community to assist us in these burdens so that the harsh conditions under which our citizens continue to suffer can be alleviated. The Republic of Croatia continues to care for the largest number of refugees and displaced persons relative to population in the world. It is our hope that these agreements, coupled with the commitment of the international community, will create the conditions necessary for lasting peace and the return to normal and productive life for all our citizens. The Republic of Croatia wishes full integration into regional European economic and security systems, as well as comprehensive cooperation with other international institutions, all of which will contribute to the success of our endeavors. Croatia strives as well to be a major factor of stability for the new international order in this part of Europe. In closing, I would like to emphasize that the Republic of Croatia has always looked to the United States of America as the beacon of democracy and the pillar of the free and stable world, and deeply appreciates its effort in this important step taken today. Thank you.
Gospodine predsjedniče, dame I gospodo.
Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen,
Hrvatski narod u Bosni I
Croatian
Hercegovini
people in Bosnia and Herzegovina
da besmisleni rat u Bosni I Hercegovini
are of the
mora što prije
opinion that this
prestati,
senseless war in Bosnia and Herzegovina must cease.
da Bosnu I Hercegovinu
Croatian
uredi
people want to organize Bosnia and Herzegovina as a free,
suverenu
democratic,
državnu
modern
zajednicu
state community
ravnopravnih naroda
where equal
koji u
people
njoj
live.
žive. Prihvatio je mirovnu inicijativu
Our people have accepted the
koju su
peace
uz
initiative
pomoć pojedinih
which,
evropskih zemalja
with the
pokrenule
contribution
Sjedinjene
from
Američke
European Union, was started by United States of America.
Potpisujući dokumenta
Signing these
danas
documents
mi
today,
prihvaćamo I
we
obavezu
accept the
da
responsibility
ono što smo tijekom pregovora dogovorili
to that which was
implementiramo,
negotiated during the negotiations,
to jest
to
radit
implement
ćemo
that
na
which
tome
was negotiated,
da što
and we
prije
will work
uspostavimo Federaciju
towards
Bosnu i Hercegovinu,
organizing the Federation of
stupimo u
Bosnia and Herzegovina as soon
konfederalni
as
odnos sa
possible,
Republikom
and we will
Hrvatskom.
also strive to organize the confederation
Zahvaljujem
with the
vama,
Republic of
gospodine
Croatia as soon
predsjedniče,
as possible. I thank you,
vašim
Mr.
suradnicima,
President, all your
na
colleagues
dosadašnjoj pomoći,
for the help that you have
s nadom i
extended to us so
uvjerenjem
far, and
da
I
ćete nam
express hope
pomoći
that you will
da
help
državnu
us
zajednicu uspostavimo,
to organize
na
the state
cjelokupnom
community
području,
in the whole
da
territory,
ćete nam pomoći
and also that you will
da
help
rat
us
na tlu Bosne i Hercegovine prestane
to stop the war
i da ćete nam
in the territory
pomoći
of Bosnia and Herzegovina, and that
u
you will also
obnovi
help us
života i rada
in
u Bosni i
reconstructing the war
Još jedanput
and
hvala.
life in Bosnia and Herzegovina. Thank you once again.
Ladies and gentlemen, today we have witnessed an act of great statesmanship. Now we must hope that the courage embodied by these agreements will inspire further acts of reason, reconstruction, and progress to implement them, to make them real in the lives of the people whose leaders are represented here today. We also must hope, I will say again, that the Serbs will join in this effort for a wider peace. We invite them and urge them to do so. Over 150 years ago, the Balkan poet Ivan Jukic wrote the following line: "Only those are heroes who know how to live with their brothers." Let us hope we are beginning to learn that lesson in this troubled land. Thank you very much. We're adjourned.